Hey everyone, before we start the podcast, let me just tell you about something that I'm doing in January that I don't do very often. That's teaching a portrait painting workshop. Now, the reason I don't do it very often is because many of you probably know I'm pretty dang busy. I've got a full-time painting career, I've got a family, I've got my own atelier, and I've got this podcast. So I don't have a lot of time to teach workshops, but I cannot turn down an opportunity to go to Scottsdale in January because Scottsdale in January is freaking gorgeous. The weather is perfect, and Scottsdale Art School is incredible. Frankly, I wish I owned their building. It's the most beautiful Spanish building. It's really big, lots of workshops going on consecutively. The faculty is amazing. It's just a great school and a great month to take a workshop there. So let me tell you a little bit about what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing a portrait painting workshop. Now, I sort of have a unique approach to portrait painting. I paint in many layers. And I'm going to be painting every morning on the same portrait, building up layers of oil paint and showing you my somewhat unique approach. I think my approach leads to very lifelike and three-dimensional portraits. And then in the afternoons, all of my students are going to be painting from the same model. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So if this is something that interests you, go to scottsdaleartschool.org soon, because this happens on January 12th to January 16th of 2026. So go to scottsdaleartschool.org and register now before it fills up.
Gosh, I pay extra for this really nice camera.
That's how it goes.
That's centered on the screen. And I look at it, and it's not nearly as nice as that one's better, right?
Nice hat, man.
Thanks, buddy. It's the Christmas show. Happy Christmas Eve.
I was not expecting that. That's good. You come on all serious complaining about the camera, and then here you are with your Santa Claus hat. That's too funny.
You know, Santa Claus, they don't know this, is a great complainer. I'm half Jewish, and Santa Claus has got to be like, you know, he's got to complain. You can't be too happy all the time, or else you're just not a normal, balanced human being. And
that's true. And Santa
come
needs to be
across as
balanced.
Unhinged. Yeah.
That's classic. Are you wearing that all day or just for the special?
I don't know yet. It's early. We'll see.
It's too good.
We'll see what kind of reaction I get. You know, if I keep on getting
so
this
far,
reaction,
so good, yeah.
Then I mean, I need all the attention I can get, Jeff. That's the bottom line.
Oh my gosh. I don't know why it's
my
cracking
motto
me up so much.
for fashion, when people ask me about like how I dress the way I dress, I say, you know, the key to my fashion sense is subtlety. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's true. It's very, very subtle. I hardly noticed it.
Yeah,
oh
buddy.
Man, that's too much.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Gosh, now I want to be crying the whole time. I have this terrible problem. When I laugh, I cry. It's really bad.
Do you?
Yeah, it runs in my family. We all do it. We'd be around the dinner table.
When you...
Yeah, we'd be around the dinner table. We also laugh like horses, you know. So we'd all be sitting there around the dinner table, just crying and weeping. You know.
Have you ever seen that clip? It was circulating for a while on social media of a French television show where they invited people on who all had unusual laughs.
No.
It is the most contagiously funny thing, and it sounds like they're making it up, like they're punking everyone, but they're not. They're the most obnoxious and bizarre laughs you've ever heard in your life. Look it up one of these days.
That'll be my Christmas once gift. Where one guy laughed and he laughed so ridiculous, and then everyone else started laughing at him. Next thing you know, there were 15 weird laughs going on simultaneously.
That's it. That's
Is that
it.
the one? Okay.
That's the one.
Yeah, that was too funny.
That's totally it.
Oh man, that's funny.
Okay. So Jeff, this is how many years of us doing the Christmas episode? Is this year 3?
I think so. Yeah. I'm excited
Holy cow,
about it.
Year 3.
No, dude. This is I think, am I at year 3 in the podcast? I don't know. I think, yeah, about that. Maybe, no, I think I'm more than year 3. I
I don't
think
know.
I'm
There
3.5, I
it
think.
better be year 3 because it didn't exist before you and I
Well,
existed.
that's true. No, but I think I think I'm at a year and a half. I think I started it sometime around May or June. So we're at a year. We're at 3.5 years. It's wild.
3.5 years.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Is there any kind of like podcast awarding body that
I
we
know,
should
man.
be
I
all
should.
voting for you to be on?
Amen. I don't
You should
know. There should
absolutely be
be.
on one.
There should be one that votes for extremely niche, unpopular podcasts that are pretty good. I would nail
Or
that.
or or non Joe Rogan
Yeah, yeah, you got to take him out.
podcast.
You got to take him out. It's just not fair. Jeez.
Well, I was afraid I was going to run out of Christmas images. That may sound ridiculous,
Oh no, you got a
but
lot
I
of
kind
stuff
of went
here.
on a tangent. I went on an
Really?
absolute tangent. Did you see the PDF that I sent you
I
that
do.
had
I have it up here, so
things?
I'm going to scroll through it. And that way you don't have
Okay.
to direct. This is brilliant. You don't have to direct me. I'll have the images ready to go.
Yeah, this
So,
is I can't believe I didn't think of this earlier. This is the way. This is the new way.
yeah. I mean, I can't use the
Right?
PDF directly because I can't blow it up. But when I'm
No,
using it as a scale,
you don't
it's
want to.
perfect.
That's just for you to have on this so that you know what's coming up.
Perfect. Yeah, it's perfect. Dude, I got to tell
That way
you.
we don't have to hunt down anything, right?
Yeah, I got to tell you in public so everyone knows. Your museum, what is it called again? The Salt Lake Museum. What, Smack?
The Salt Lake Art Museum. Slam.
Slack. Sorry, I'll get it down.
Slam. Slam.
Slam.
But
Slack.
it's all the
You're
Batman,
totally
the vintage
slacking.
Batman, like the vintage Batman pow signs. That's our museum. It's slag, pow, bam, slam.
Oh shoot. Anyway, that thing with Galena was so great. I was so
I'm
it was so great. Galena Parova
I
for
am
those listening.
I'm glad you came. So for those who don't know, we're opening up a museum. I with a group of people next year, and the focus of the museum is it's very local. It's about artists who are from or connected to Utah in one way or another, because we live in a place that has a lot of artists that don't get celebrated here. And so even though you and I have international interests, I felt like if I was going to contribute to the community here, it would have to be in that way.
Yeah.
And Galena is yeah, she was honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award with in the early 2000s at the Portrait Society of America. She's won top prize at the Oil Painters of America show. She defected from Russia after studying at the Repin Academy and getting her PhD there. She defected about the same time Baryshnikov, the ballet
Hmm.
dancer, defected. And I got to say, you asked the question. I can't remember the exact question, but she gave I felt like one of the all-time classic answers
She said
as
exactly what I hoped
to
she
it.
would say.
It was so great. So I think your question was something along the lines of, what does it take to be an artist
I think
in this
what I
day and
said
age?
was I think what I said was in a day and age when everyone's kittens are artists, then what is it? How do you define an artist, and what does it take to be called an artist?
And her answer was in a
I sort of
Russian.
regretted the sarcasm a little bit after I asked that question.
It's all right. It's all right. You were among friends, and she said, "Well, I sing in the shower, but I don't consider myself a musician."
Oh, yeah, it was brilliant. I
It was
totally
it was
set
a
her up
really
for a
like
slam dunk.
it was a really I've been thinking a lot about that answer, and it's a controversial answer, right? Not a controversial answer. I think we live at a time where I don't think that comment has anything to do with genre, style, or media, right? It just has to do with the idea of how serious are you at honing your craft in
Right,
the end,
right.
right? And so it could be interpreted as this ultra conservative response and question and response, but in another way, it should be satisfying to any artist or craftsperson who's dedicated themselves to their work,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's how I took it. It was such a great.
It was the best answer. Well, it's just such a weird world in the art world. It's the only profession where you need no qualifications except going to the art supply store and buying paints.
Yeah.
And it's very strange. Very strange.
Yeah. Well, it's because we've spent about 100 years saying that art is self-expression, and that there's no way to judge self-expression because self-expression is very personal. And I think that 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 runs up. It's almost like you and I have talked about this before, but I had a professor at the University of London who was very modernist and experimental and abstract in his tastes. And he said, in a way, it's like we said to somebody, "Here's a saxophone. It took many generations to hone this instrument to do a very specific thing, but you can play it however you want. There are no rules." Right? It's like
Hmm.
just play it, and nobody can criticize whether you're good or bad at it, because whether you spent 30 years learning how to play a saxophone and read notes and do scales and to do all kinds of crazy things with it, or whether you're just blowing really hard into it, you can't say that those two are both self-expression on the same level,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Those aren't.
Mm-mm.
And I think that Galena Galena, such a great answer from her.
She's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was shocked
Yeah.
because when I'd never met her before, and I don't know, maybe this is terrible because maybe I was expecting this stereotypical Russian, which isn't a fact. I know so many Russians that don't fit the stereotype at all, but I was expecting this stern woman, and she was a
Yeah.
freaking riot. I was talking to her in private. She was cracking me up. I mean, just so funny. Oh my gosh, it
She
was great.
she really is. And I think about half of the conversations I've had with her over the year have been about food.
Really?
Yeah, she loves to cook. She loves to talk about food. And when you go to her studio, she'll lay out 5 different kinds of cheese from you that aren't cheeses you can get just anywhere. She's a really she's one of these people that it feels like a cartoon. It's like so many artists that we know, right? I mean, I think that
Yeah.
one of the definitions of being good at what you do, no matter I guess the field, but especially artists, is that you're just all eccentric people. You're super eccentric. You go in your studio and you're
Yeah,
you're you're
something like
dressing
that.
little dolls and building boats out of using historical references and making your own forges and leather work. I mean, it's and you go to like I was just down at Howard Lyons, and he's got his own little like ceramic wheels, and he's smelting copper, and you're like, what is going on in here? Do you not have like enough to do?
That's cool. I got to talk to him about that. I'm curious what he's doing with all that.
Yeah. Well, right now, for those who are listening to this, it'll already be over. But Salt Lake has been invaded by the denizens of Dragon Steel. So
What?
Brandon Sanderson, who's maybe the world's most popular fantasy author,
Yeah.
has a conference that he's been doing every other year. I know that there are people who know way better than I do. And it's over 4 days, and it's in Salt Lake, and it's sold out like 8 months in advance. People come from all over the world to it, and it's happening right now. And so I was thinking, oh, well, I'd love to come see some of these people, but they're all there from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and none of them, and and
Hmm.
tickets are unavailable. You can't even go. And I don't know if any of them are staying until afterwards, but if they are, maybe we can hook up with a few of
Oh, that'd be
these people for
interesting.
dinner or something. I'll let you know.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
great. So what is he doing? Building some sort of cosplay thing with the copper?
It is kind of it is a little bit like Comic-Con in that these
Hmm.
people do come dressed up. Brandon Sanderson is prolific. I don't I I hate to sound like Hansel in Zoolander, who's talking about Sting, and he says, "An artist I really admire is Sting. I don't really listen to his music, but I admire that he makes it." Do you remember that line?
No. That's
I kind of feel
hilarious.
that way about Brandon Sanderson. I know him. I've had dinner with him a couple of times, but I've never spent, I've never read really anything he's written. I
I
need to
can't
catch
imagine
up.
you reading that sort of stuff. I don't, not because
No?
there's anything wrong with it. It just doesn't seem in sync with your personality type?
I don't know. Years ago, he ended up finishing this series by an author that I read up until I was in high school called Robert Jordan, The Wheel of Time, and
Hmm.
he finished which was a monumental effort, and I need to read those. I need to go back. I need to stop just reading for my specialty. That's the problem when you have a specialty, is that you end up just
Uh-huh.
reading for that,
Hmm.
which I'm sure you know because I mean I go over to your studio and you've got books on period costume, period
Hmm.
period
Yep.
boats and pottery and things like that. And
Yeah, it's true. There seems like not a lot of time to read just simply for pleasure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, today, you ready for some Christmas?
Yeah,
You
let's
ready to
do it,
Christmas
man.
it up with me?
Let's do it.
I've gone on a bit of a tangent, Jeff,
Okay.
which is typical for me. And by the end of this podcast, people are going to wonder about why I've picked the things I have. And guys, I don't know. I don't know what's going on in my brain. All I know is
That's
that
funny.
I got excited about a few things, and that's okay because we're our own bosses, right, Jeff? We can pick whatever we
Heck
want.
yeah, man. This is our thing.
So bring up image one,
Okay.
if you could here. This is drums and drum roll, please. The first Christmas card.
Wait, stop. Ever in
Yeah.
history?
From what we know, this is the first Christmas card ever mass produced. Ever.
No joke.
Yeah. 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 So the man who commissioned it and who's the subject of it is Henry Cole. And it's got three generations of his family in the middle eating Christmas dinner. And he commissioned an artist named John Calcutt Horsley, who is, an okay British illustrator, a member of the Royal Academy. And he has people being cared for on either side, taking care of the needy, the poor. And it was commissioned in 1834. And they were, they were mass produced on what I believe. Let me see. I've got notes here on it. Um, so they were printed in no color and then they were hand colored. And there was a space for a handwritten message on the back, like a postcard.
Mm-hmm.
And he initially sent them out to friends and family and then started marketing them. And he didn't change the image. He just kept his family on it,
Well, you gotta have
right?
somebody's family, right?
Gotta have somebody. But within 30 years, the whole Christmas market exploded. And arguably, between Christmas cards and Charles Dickens' a Christmas Carol, we have our modern Christmas. And let me explain. Go to the next image.
Okay.
This is Queen Victoria and Prince Albert on their Christmas card that was sent out in 1870 with the Christmas tree. Now, this would seem
Wow.
very normal to us, but it wasn't until Prince Albert, who's on the far right, who married Queen Victoria, who was German, he brought the Christmas tree to England in the mid 19th century. And it wasn't until their Christmas cards started going out that people started adopting and using their own Christmas cards, their own Christmas trees. Christmas
Really?
trees were popularized the through Christmas cards, and especially through the royal families images of what a Christmas tree looked like. Isn't that crazy?
So they didn't even have to explain the relevance of it, if there even is any. I don't know if there is. People just were like, oh, the royal family's doing it, so we're going to do it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they were really the trendsetters. And in Germany, the trend is you put up the Christmas tree like on the 24th, I think, and have it up on the 25th.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it goes, depending on where you are in Germany, it goes until Epiphany, which is like 12 days after Christmas, or it comes down right before New Year's.
Hmm.
And so we kind of took this German tradition in England and the United States in particular, but it kind of spreads throughout a lot of Europe to have a Christmas card up. If you're in England, the Christmas trees usually go up at the 1st of November. In the United States, very controversial when it goes up. I'm in a family where my wife will not let me put it up until Thanksgiving, after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's
We
reasonable.
can't,
What, you want to put it
we
up
can't,
sooner?
I love the moment it gets dark, like, and it's after Halloween. I want the
Yeah, so
Christmas tree
I
up.
am. I start playing Christmas music in October, and half of my students are like, "Oh my gosh!" I'm like, "Get out of here, Scrooge! Like, stop complaining. I own the place."
I mean, most of these Christmas cards are not great art, right?
Mm-mm.
They're illustrations done with the techniques that they have then, which is steel engraving or lithograph or even wood engraving, and they're mass produced, and the artists who are making them are um, are not always trained. They're kind of like political cartoonist level kind of artists.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it'd be fun to show you some really good or interesting Christmas cards by actual good artists. So look at number 3, and you got to tell me who you think did this.
Wait. I know who did it, but I'm drawing a blank. Don't give me a second.
Excuse me.
Give me a second. It's the surrealist.
That's right. Mustache,
Yeah. Why
cane,
can't I think of his
walk around
name?
with the aardvark.
Yeah. All right, just tell me.
Salvador
So
Dali.
Dali. I couldn't think of it. Oh my gosh, I'm an idiot.
So this is he did one every year, and there are so many kooky ones. I picked from one of like 20 that I could find. This one has Don Quixote, the famous figure from the novel, who's actually the
Mm-hmm.
tree and the one at the bottom. So he's simultaneously like down below the tree, and he's also the tree is him with
Oh
his
yeah,
arms raised and
yeah.
sword sticking in him. I
That
gotta
guy
tell you a
had
funny
quite the
story.
imagination, man.
There's this great video that is that circulated for a little bit in Spain of Salvador Dali being interviewed in Spanish in 1970, and he said, "Look, compared to everyone who's alive, I'm maybe the greatest matte person painting right now."
I know. I saw that interview.
And then he said, "Compared to the great masters, I'm an idiot."
Yeah.
He had such
Simultaneously arrogant and humble at the same time.
yeah, he was such a strange individual. I would do research at the Universidad Complutense in Madrid, which is one of their principal universities, and it had the archives for their Royal School of Fine Arts from the 19th century up until the 1960s. And I was looking really hard. I'd work in that archive on and off for 10 years.
Hmm.
And I was trying to get the classroom practices of artists like Sorolla, Pradilla, and other artists who'd studied there, just to see what their daily classroom practice was like. And it had class plans, it had notes on students, commentary by their teachers. And in the folder that was marked like 1875, somebody had accidentally put in, I thought, all of the notes pertaining to Salvador Dali's time when he trained at the school.
Hmm.
And I went up to the archivist who'd been there forever, and I said, "Hey, this was put in the wrong folder. These are Salvador Dali's things. They were put back in the 1870s, and I know he was here in what, like the 1940s or 50s, 1940s, I think, or 30s even. Could have been the 20s." And she said, "Oh my gosh, they've been missing for 40 years, ever since such and such. This biographer came in, didn't want anybody else to do research on Salvador Dali. And so he hid Salvador Dali's notes and all the things on him in a part of the archive, and we haven't been able to find it.
You gotta
Thank
be
you so
kidding.
much."
That's so
No,
messed up.
isn't that messed up?
So messed up.
So I could have taken it as an opportunity to study Salvador Dali, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the next one. I would be surprised if you knew this artist,
This
but
one I
there's
have
a
no
story
idea.
behind it.
Is it Beardsley?
It is. It's Aubrey Beardsley.
Yeah. It's because it
And
says it right at the bottom of the card.
so Aubrey Beardsley was a fascinating Art Nouveau artist who did a lot of the illustrations for Oscar Wilde and Lewis Carroll, who did Alice in Wonderland. And he focused mostly on pen and doing these intricate black and white images. He died at a very young age. I think he was only 29 to 31 years old when he died.
Hmm.
And he had a deathbed conversion to Catholicism, and he told his best friend to burn all of his pornographic drawings. and his friend did not because he felt like they were too valuable. And Beardsley became known for all these pornographic drawings that never wanted public.
Are you
But
serious?
I'm serious. But he was widely known before those pornographic drawings for doing these extremely intricate, detailed drawings. And they're very stylized and they're
Hmm.
not anatomically correct, usually, right? They're all from this age where it was all about trying to bring back a kind of Renaissance ethic. So the figures are deliberately flat. These you've got this focus on ornament and print like the prints on her dress and even the way the trees are in the background. These are all references to things like Bellini and Botticelli. Those are the kinds of things he was doing. And this became a very popular Christmas card at the turn of the century. Now go to the
Is
go to the
it
next
is it
one.
like a woodblock or something? Or what is it?
You know, the original one was pen and ink, and then I think by this time you could just do a photogravure of it. So I think what it is it's a photograph taken of the pen and ink that was then etched onto a plate that was then
Okay.
reproduced. And that's as a photogravure, you could do that. You could photograph something and then turn it on, put it onto a plate that could
Hmm.
then be reproduced.
All right.
I would
Let's
be
see.
shocked if you guessed who this next one is. This was a Christmas card sent out personally by this artist.
No, there's no way. There's no way. Yeah.
This is James McNeill Whistler.
Really?
This is Whistler. This is a Christmas card by Whistler.
No, I could see that.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It's dry point that then was reproduced as a photographer print.
It's so interesting what great artists are okay with. Like it's beautiful. I like it, but I can't imagine doing something like this myself and being like, "Okay, it's done. Let's send it out."
Yeah, it's a very I mean, ghostly is the right word, sparse. There's a lot of subtlety in the way that you've got that band of very bright in the middle, and then it gradually gets darker as it goes to the edges. He did a lot of etchings during his lifetime, and they're not as well known, and a lot of them are marine scenes. This
Hmm.
one is Venice, and I don't know if it was. It's kind of hard to get into his head. Is this kind of like a
This is Christmas.
he used it as a Christmas card. Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Not everybody used Christmas. I mean, the next image is clearly like another one of these that I look at I look at it and I think
I
this
just
has
laughed at the
nothing to do
next
with
image. I'm
Christmas.
ahead of the audience here. It's too bad.
Yeah, so this is one of several Christmas cards produced, and they're borderline racist, but I felt like we wanted to include it and at least have
Right.
a just to give it as an idea of what he was doing. This is Maynard Dixon.
No kidding. Well,
So
I doubt it
Maynard
was
Dixon would
intended to be a
often,
joke.
yeah, and he would and it says heap good Christmas you. So he's making fun of Native American speech patterns and he's doing
Maybe
a
it is meant
caricature
to
of a
be a
Native
joke.
American, but
Yeah.
he did do them, and this he sent to the artist Russell, who's the great sculptor and painter Russell. It'll come to me, to my tongue. C.M. Russell, Charles Russell.
Hmm.
And he would do this for friends. Is he would never do mass reproduced images like a lot of artists would do. He would do a caricature and send them out on a piece of paper to a friend on his personal stationery for Christmas.
Hmm.
But you'd always get a drawing. If you were Maynard Dixon's friend, you got a drawing every year, and it looked like a caricature like this.
Hmm.
And some of them were actually like oil on paper or watercolor on paper, but
That's
they were
even
would,
for something like this, that's quite generous. If he's got more than a dozen friends, geez Louise.
he would send out as many as 100 to 200 a year.
Are you kidding me?
No, isn't that crazy?
He'd have to take like, I don't know, at least a week just to crank these things out. Well, maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah. And he's doing this during the Depression, during the 1940s. So
Wow.
um it it sets another level of like, I'm terrible at sending out Christmas cards. I do it like
Oh,
every
me
5
too.
years.
Me too.
But I see something like this and I think, oh, maybe I should be writing more of a note to friends.
Yeah.
The next one may be for me the all-star of Christmas cards.
Oh man,
So
this is beautiful.
there are several of them, all done by the same artist. People will recognize this style probably. This is Rockwell Kent.
Hmm.
So Rockwell Kent was one of the great revivalists of woodblock art in the early 20th century, and he redid classics like Moby Dick and Dante's Inferno. He kind of became and his approach to woodblock, which a lot of people call Art Deco,
Mm-hmm.
um, because of it looks neoclassical
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, and he would do 2, 3 color prints. And we should do a show on Rockwell Kent or one of these days because his illustrations are just mind blowing. And here you have this angel who's in a starry sky who takes up this huge proportion, who's dropping stars which are turning into snowflakes over this little village.
That's such a
It's just
beautiful sentiment. I don't know why. I just
it is,
love
isn't
that.
it? And it has nothing to do with any particular moment. And then the next image is also him. It's the really bright blue one. This is a Christmas card. And these are
Okay.
ones that he made and sent out to friends every year. So this is also Rockwell Kent,
Wow. Also woodblock.
also woodblock.
I
And then the
love
third
woodblock. I
one,
wish more people did it.
I do too. The third one is actually a lithograph, which is Rockwell Kent, and it's called Bringing Home the Christmas Tree.
That's cool. I like the woodblocks
And
better, but
And then the final one is also a lithograph that's by him,
oh,
and it's a really disturbing one. It's called Merry. It just says Merry Christmas, and it's this woman who's. I mean, there's this, and I think it was done during World War II. So there's this war-torn scene behind her, an inferno, and then there's the building is falling apart, but the keystone is holding it together is a dove holding the laurel leaf at the top, and in the bottom is a tiny child who's being warmed by a Christmas tree, a tiny
what
Christmas
an
tree.
interesting concept.
Yeah.
Yeah, no shortage of imagination, this guy.
No, and he wasn't known as a figurative artist, but he studied I think with Robert Henry at the Art Students League of New York, and he was a very well trained figurative artist, but he had no problem exaggerating the figure to do whatever he wanted to because they didn't have to be realistic for the styles that he was trying to do. So, I mean, you look at that first angel versus these, they're all very different figures and
Mm-hmm.
approaches to the figure and all very different picture images of levels of complication with how things look realistic or not. That first one that we looked at, it's the one on the right here, not realistic at all. Who cares, right?
Yeah.
Really
Yeah, those
bold
are cool.
imagination, and they stretch what a Christmas card is, right? They're not traditional narratives by any means of what a Christmas image would be.
No, it's kind of dark.
Okay, this one I would be shocked if you figured out who this one is. I would have never
Let
guessed it.
me, I know which one it is. I'm just going to take a second to find it. Okay, right here. Um, yeah, well, you know me. I don't know a lot about anything, but I have no idea.
So this is the American impressionist J. Alden Weir.
Hmm.
And Weir is his studio is the only studio in the United States that was turned into a national park. And he's called the father of American Impressionism. His works are in the Met. We don't really talk about him much. We usually talk about his still lifes or sometimes his images of women. But this is etching and dry point on paper. And it was a Christmas card that he sent out called Christmas Greens. And it's of his wife and his daughter. And when I saw this,
Hmm.
I thought, it's so interesting how much work, there's a lot of work in this and a lot of choices
Mm-hmm.
going on,
Etching is
and how
so
much
time consuming. So this is impressive.
it is. And I've never seen any other etchings by him.
Hmm.
Um, it also makes you wonder, like, it kind of to me looks like a black and white, just a few steps removed from a black and white photograph.
I thought the same thing. I thought it was maybe some sort of altered photo.
No. And so to think that he would put this out when he could have put a photograph out, photographs were expensive at the time, but it must have been at a time when this would have been impressive to his friends to send this out. Because maybe
Mhm.
they would have had the same thing you and I did, where they would have thought, oh, wow, like, wait, is this a painting? Is this a photograph? Photographs can't be mass sent out except to great expense. But I guess you could do an etching and a dry point at less expense. Maybe that's one way of thinking about it. Another way of thinking about it is, I mean, it really is an impressive image.
Mhm.
It's just so unusual. I'm not used to seeing anything like this.
I'm not sure. Oh, that's her hand. I was wondering what this was. That's her hand and sleeve.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she's holding a wreath in her hands.
Yeah, I get that now. Okay. Do you think it was done from a photo reference?
Could have been. I mean, that would make sense, wouldn't it? Especially with the way that that light hits everything.
Yeah, and the way the outdoors is just white.
Yeah, could have been.
Hmm,
Yeah, could have been.
that's cool.
Okay, the next one is I had to include this. It's not. I mean, we'll let people decide.
Oh, give me a sec. I'm struggling to find this one.
There's so many images in this. It's not on your screen right now. It may be something you have to scroll to.
Oh, I think this is all of them.
Did I not include it?
Um,
Maybe I didn't include
I
it.
don't think you did. Let me pull up this here. That's the best we can do here.
Yeah. Can you zoom in on that a little bit?
I don't think so.
So this is Ralph Hewlett, and I would encourage everybody to look up Ralph Hewlett. So Ralph Hewlett was the main Disney artist behind Sleeping Beauty, Robin Hood, the Fox version of Robin Hood, the animated one, and The Sword and the Stone. He did a
Oh, there
lot
we
of
go.
Disney work, and he would make for his friends every year a Christmas card. And he did maybe 30 or 40 of them. And I've never seen them circulated. I don't think he ever mass produced them. He made them just for friends. And Hewlett is just one of these artists he was classically trained, goes and works for Disney Studios, and makes a living not as a fine artist, but as an animator.
Hmm.
And this is his Christmas card. And you know what? If you took that Santa and his reindeer out of it, look at how beautiful
Be a
beautiful that
great
is.
piece of art. Yeah.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah. And is this like a wood block or some sort of print?
I think that it's a print. I think that he must have done like
Like a silk
he's
screen,
doing
maybe?
these in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s.
Oh, so this could be a
And
silk screen or something.
it could be a silk screen. Yeah. And you can tell that he's producing it almost like a Disney cell would be,
Yeah, it's
with like a
really cool.
foreground, middle ground. But it is really cool, isn't it?
Lots of colors. There's lots of layers in here.
And just like another
Hmm.
one of these moments where you could dismiss this stuff as kitsch because it's a Christmas card and because it's got Santa and his reindeer. But this is a beautifully realized piece of art that was never meant to be seen on a canvas. It's just a tiny card that gets folded up and put in the mail.
That's a shame. I'd hang that on my wall. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. I mean, yeah, I'd rather not have Santa Claus there all year round, but that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. It is beautiful, isn't it? Okay. So this is my New Year's resolution. You don't have to join me in it.
Okay.
My New Year's resolution is next year. I'm gonna follow up with me next year when we get in the podcast. I'm gonna do some kind of Christmas card, and it's gonna
you
be
really?
unique. Yeah, it's gonna be unique. I don't know if it's gonna be my own drawing of some kind or something, but I want it to be. I want to start a tradition that isn't just a family photo. I want it to be
I'm going to
something
join you on that. That's a great challenge.
like these.
A few moments later.
What's that?
Did you see my amazing work of art that I just sent you? That's our Christmas card. This you
Hold on.
forget doing a joint Christmas card with you and Jen, you and me. And instead of you being the artist, I'll be the artist, and we'll make it. We'll do what I did, which is a 30-second challenge.
I don't
That's
know.
my 30-second challenge.
I'm assuming it's really great, but let me
Have
see.
you haven't seen it? Look at I sent it to you as a text. This is my.
You know, I did see it.
And I want you to know that I would happily take a certificate showing I've graduated from your atelier. You got to show the whole thing.
Oh my gosh, it's like that's beautiful. Dude, it's a perfect likeness of both of us. It looks exactly like us.
That's going on on my gravestone. That award-winning portraitist Jeff HEIN said that my 30-second drawing of the two of us looks exactly like us.
It's spot on, man. Spot on. Oh my gosh, that's gold.
Okay.
All right, back to the real art.
Now we're gonna switch gears. We're gonna go into the heavy hitters here, my friend. We're gonna take a few minutes and go to the because these should now be in the things that I sent you. I think we just missed that one image. But go to the lineup of the not the PDF.
Wait, this is next, right? Oh, you want to do the lineup? You don't want to just use this?
Yeah. We could use this if you want to.
Yeah, let's just use this. I mean, it's here. Yeah.
So this is Rembrandt.
Yeah, that's pretty obvious.
There's a series of images I want to show you that I think they're Christmas adjacent.
Okay.
So it's something that we almost never depict anymore, but I wish we did. It's called The Dream of Joseph. And that's the idea that, and it's in the scriptures. It's in, I think, 3 of the 4 gospels in the beginning of the New Testament, that Joseph was told that his wife Mary was going to be pregnant and that he should not be angry with her, that she was still a virtuous woman.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't given all the information, but he was given an angelic visitation. And almost every one of these images has Joseph at some stages, the baby's already born. And in some stages, he's not born yet, which is an interesting idea for the narrative. If you're betrothed to somebody and then you find out that they're pregnant, the idea that before you find out they're pregnant, you're told that they're pregnant by an angel, or after you found out and maybe have built up all of these feelings and questions about why is she pregnant, then you receive an angelic vision saying, don't worry about it. And this one, they're very clearly in the manger. This is like right after the birth, pretty much. And it has that very traditional, the difference between Rembrandt as a portraitist and a narrative painter is fascinating, because as a narrative painter, the figures are almost cartoonish compared to the very realistic portraits that we're used to seeing.
Yeah, they really are. Well, this is a small work though, too, right? I mean,
it is. It's
obviously
tiny.
Varies to some degree.
It's tiny, and there are very few pigments in it. I mean, I think it's dirty on top of that, but he's used that blue that's around Mary, which is the color that is traditionally used on Mary, because traditionally it's lapis lazuli blue or ultramarine, which is a very expensive pigment. And so the most expensive pigment throughout the history of art was dedicated to Mary and depicting her. But he doesn't have lapis lazuli here. He has this degraded pigment that is used a lot in the Low Countries where he was living, and also used in Spain, called smalt. And it's a kind of dirty blue. And I kind of prefer it in some cases, because if this was a very bright blue in this situation, it wouldn't work.
No. Well, there's 2 ways of looking at it. He chose all the other colors to work with the blue, right? I mean, if he had lapis lazuli, maybe he would have gone more vibrant everywhere.
Yeah.
Who
I
knows?
love the storytelling in it, by the way. I love the idea that how many times have you, as the father, you're really not the one who can breastfeed. I mean, back then, they didn't have bottles that you could hand off to a father to sit up alternatively with the mother. And so, but he's still like ready in an instant, potentially. right? He's
Oh,
sitting
that's
up
interesting. That's not how I
and
read
he's
it. I read it
and
like
he's sleeping.
he was stressed out. Like, where did this baby come from? And the
Oh,
angel's saying, dude, it's cool. It came from God. It's cool. Relax.
it's another way of doing it. It's another way of doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the next image, just don't do it on this one. Do it. Switch to
Okay,
the
I'll
switch to
switch.
the other one because I want to be able to zoom in on the other one. It's a very high quality image.
I just have to take a minute to thank each one of my generous patrons for your part in keeping this podcast going. I could not continue to do it without you, so thank you so much. If you're not a patron yet, but you love the show and you listen regularly, please consider becoming a patron. It's really easy to do and it doesn't have to break the bank. Just head over to theundrapedartist.com and click on the link Be My Patron on Podbean. And then choose a monthly donation amount that fits your budget. It's that simple.
And it's one of my favorite images of all time.
Yeah, there it is, right?
Yes. So this is also the Dream of Joseph, but it's by the French artist
Mm.
Georges Latour. And Georges Latour he's kind of a mystery of an artist. I mean, this was painted roughly 1640s, 1650s, and he works in this style which is very similar to Caravaggio, right?
Yeah.
And we would call it Caravaggi. So clearly he's seen what's going on, but we don't know really anything about his training. Apparently he never went to Rome or never saw one of Caravaggio's paintings in person.
What?
And so he comes up with his own, maybe he saw them as woodblock reproductions. Maybe they were described. We don't know a whole lot about how Georges Latour comes up with his own personal style. And for many years, it wasn't clear even if his works were all by the same person, because this is before things are being signed, right? So he doesn't sign his works either. And so
Wow.
there's currently an exhibition going on in Paris that's a retrospective of Georges Latour. And he has got to be one of the most beautiful composers of images and light
Yeah, this is
that I know of.
gorgeous.
Isn't it beautiful?
It looks familiar. Where is it located?
So this is in a small museum in Nantes in France.
I must have seen it in a book or online or something.
A lot of his images have a very similar composition in that there's usually one candle, one source of light in the image, one figure that's illuminated in the background or middle ground, and another one in the foreground. And so you're seeing the candle, you're almost never seeing the candle directly, right? You're seeing the effects of the candle. And he does, one of the things I find so fascinating about his approach is some of his figures look extremely natural and realistic, and others look deliberately supernatural and fake and idealized. Idealized is a better word. So that angel doesn't look like a normal human. Everything's been, it's almost like the face is too surreal, and it's meant to look somewhat supernatural and washed out. You think, oh, maybe that's over cleaning, but I don't think it is, because look at
Her eyes, they're like black.
yeah. So he's clearly making this look somehow like a supernatural figure, but then look at how natural Joseph looks.
Yeah, you know what else is really, well, not strange, unusual and interesting about this? It's the angel, the only light source for the angel is the candle. The candle typically, when it's portrayed in painting, is its own light source.
Yeah.
It
The angel glows on everybody else, but here the angel doesn't glow.
No,
It's just the candle.
If the candle wasn't on, the angel would have been this dark figure walking into the room.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, look how old Joseph is.
Which is
Crazy.
There's so many different interpretations of Joseph in his age.
I imagine him in his 20s at the most.
It is to me, the way Latour chooses to Yeah, the way he composes these images is so deceptively simple, because if you just said to an artist, okay, what I want you to do is have one source of light and two figures, go. But look at all the choices he's making with highlights and
Yeah.
and just even the book that's fallen apart in his that's being opened in his hands, and the little point of light on his left thumbnail as he's holding onto
Oh,
that
right
book.
here.
They're
Yeah.
beautiful little narrative choices that pull your eye around in all kinds of interesting ways.
This fabric looks really contemporary,
Hmm.
like it was
Well,
painted
and I think
yesterday.
they even had at their time this kind of fictional biblical clothing, but that angel, who knows what that angel's wearing? Is that French or Dutch clothing from the period? I don't know. But the Joseph figure is clearly meant to look like a kind of pastiche or imagination of what biblical people look like in his
Oh, no,
clothing.
no, I'm talking about how it's
And you,
painted.
oh, you're talking about how it's painted.
Yeah, no, no,
Okay.
no, not the time period. It just feels like I
I
don't know,
think
it
our
feels
next
so
episode,
refined. Like
I think
like
our next episode should be on George Latour. Even look at the right arm of Joseph leaning on the table, how he's pulled the material there, and how he's got one fold of clothing really brightly lit, and then another part completely in darkness, and the same thing with the arm. And you think, okay, well, why would you make that elbow or that side of the arm one of the most prominent parts of the whole painting, right? I mean, like, why would that be so bright compared to everything else? But it works.
yeah, that's something. I mean, other than the fact that it's close to the candle, is that I'm
Yeah.
not sure what you mean.
What I mean is that you often think about, like, okay, what are the innocuous details or versus the most important details in it? I mean, how much of the body of the angel do you choose to light up? How much of him do you choose to light up? Which
Yeah.
parts of him do you choose to light up? I mean, the book is more interesting, arguably, than his sleeve. And like, why is the sleeve taking so much real estate? And why is it so bare compared to like her cloth, which has got that really interesting texture to it? I mean, there's just like Latour is making fascinating choices all the time
Yeah.
with the way that he focuses on things. And the
It
and the
is
ultimate
interesting.
feeling is that it doesn't feel like a natural image.
Yeah,
It's
and why is the book that's farther from the flame than his face so bright?
I don't I don't know.
And why
It's
is her
interesting
face that's equally far? Well, that one's easy to explain because it's an angel.
because
He's
she's
trying to
supernatural.
illuminate her. Yeah, yeah. But the book and the face, what's the significance of the book that he lit it up? Is it a compositional decision or some
I don't
sort
know.
of conceptual decision?
I don't know. I don't know.
Hmm. Can you think of what the book might represent from your
I
knowledge of
think the
art
book
history?
for his time is you got Latour is living at a time when Catholicism and Protestants are both using their own personal Bibles for the first time, because print has been around for a little less than 100 years.
Ah,
And so now he's got his own Bible, and he's maybe reading through, trying to figure out what's going on. It's kind of like a meta image of Joseph reading about prophecies about himself and the Messiah and trying to figure out how he fits into it potentially. And then he falls
yeah, that
asleep.
makes sense. Or a hierarchy of significance. Angel, brightest, book, the word of God, next, Joseph,
Oh yeah, that's a
darkest.
great interpretation. Yeah,
Maybe,
yeah,
maybe
yeah,
that's what's
yeah.
going on.
Okay, so I should have shown these in different order potentially, but go to the next image,
Okay.
which is from
This
40 years earlier. And this is and you can put maybe this and the next one together on the same page because they're both Caravaggio and they're both nativity scenes. I
okay, hold on. Is it this one?
think it is.
Yeah.
No,
Nope.
not that one.
It's this one. Oh yeah,
There you
this one.
are. Yeah.
Oops, I screwed up. All right, I'll bring the other one back. Hold on. These ones are a little harder to see in the thumbnails.
Yeah, they are.
Right
Yeah, there
here.
you are.
Okay.
So these are both done on in the same year. And they're both
Jeez, he's
nativity,
so
both by
prolific.
Caravaggio.
Are they
Yeah,
big?
they are. They're from what I understand, they're basically life size.
Wow.
And Caravaggio is, we like to think of him as the bad boy of art during this period because he's gambling, he's drinking, he's getting in fights all the time, and he's also using unorthodox models. He's sometimes hiring prostitutes to pose as Mary, and famously doing it in a way that other people know that he's using prostitutes in order to make a statement about sin and about redemption. And he's also gay,
Hmm.
and everybody knows that he's gay, and so he also has these men that he uses very prominently, often showing men in ways that are like showing their legs. Look at the on the far right, that those male legs that are
Mm-hmm.
showing. And a lot of the people he's painting it for want these things in it too. They're kind of like a little bit in your face. And so you've got these this combination of the sacred and the profane all in the same images at the same time. But he's also just like undeniably a brilliant composer of images. We're we can Out of the two of these, is there one you prefer?
The one on the right.
I prefer the one on the right. Can we zoom in on it for a minute?
Yeah, let me turn off the other one real quick. Or maybe we can zoom. No, you hold on. Yeah, I think it's much more interesting of a composition.
I do too. And it's I mean, each figure is so beautifully painted, but it's also that idea if you just kind of blur your eyes and see how it's the figures, those brights kind of swirl in that that uh that Fibonacci pattern,
Yeah,
that golden pattern. You can see it, it's kind of on its side. Mary's the center of it, and
yeah.
then it swirls around and goes up to that angel.
Wow, that must have been on purpose.
It's got to be. I mean, it's such a choice that he would have made, and it would have been even all the more stark if you look at this under candlelight, because he doesn't have consistent light on it most of the time. It's candlelight, and so it would have been flickering, and you would have seen their extremities and faces flickering in the light because those are the things that he's painted the brightest, and it would almost make them look like maybe they were moving or alive.
Hmm.
So
There's a
we're
lot of dark in this thing. When you squint down, it's like a black painting with just a few spots of light.
Yeah, I mean, picture this in at the end of a dusky church chapel, and it's being lit by candles, and and you look at it, and those figures look like they're emerging from the darkness slightly,
Mm-hmm.
and the lights flickering on them, and they look like maybe they're moving. It would have been a surreal experience to look at a Caravaggio in that context versus in a museum where there's a bright, consistent light on it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild. I want to pull up the other one again real quick to compare. Is it this one?
I think the one on the right has suffered quite a bit over time because it feels like all those browns have thinned out and the reds stayed the same because you know, they're more
Yeah,
of a
they look almost fluorescent compared to the rest of the painting.
I think that's an age and condition issue. I don't think that's how he originally painted it at all.
I bet a lot of the dark reds have really faded.
Probably.
And then back here, I wonder, because it's this weird arrow composition, I bet the darks in this robe were all really dark too at one point. So it's not
Mm.
this like blatant arrow.
I do love their heads all pointing towards the one figure, and I love the
Yeah.
donkeys in the background and how they're all framed in it. It's
This is
and look at how
odd too. What is
beautiful those.
this?
I think that's also just a remnant of bad cleaning. I mean, look at how the swaddling clothes that Christ is in are lead, and those metallic colors survive over time.
So you
And the
th-
other colors, I don't know what
so
that
you think
is.
well, it looks like it's wrapped around this tool. So it does look
Yeah.
like an object, but yeah, somehow it's oddly bright.
I
Yeah,
think we're
yeah.
totally out of sync with what it originally looked like.
That's
So
so sad. Yeah, because look at her foot. That's gone. That foot is
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah. Which he wouldn't have done. Look at
No.
these other feet and look at it's that's what we call something being skinned
Look at that. Wait,
in
wait, wait.
art.
Look at that. You can see the foot over the fabric.
Oh, interesting.
You see that
Yeah.
line, that faint line at the tip of my fingers?
Yep.
That
Which they
whole
call a
entire
pedimenti.
foot is completely faded to oblivion.
Yeah.
So
So
interesting.
we're kind of seeing just a but look at the one of the male figures right at the center. Go up a little higher. Just look at those three that are all grouped together with their heads that way.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some really beautiful moments in there, but you're right. It's all out of sync with the values that they would have originally been.
But a lot of his paintings have been well preserved. What do you suppose it is with this one?
I don't know. Look at how sensitive her face is.
I bet
I
it was
think
hung in
things
a
get,
church with a lot next to a window and it just faded like crazy.
or it was hung in a church and it got a lot of lamp and soot from candles, lamp black and soot, and it was the subject of an unprofessional cleaning and repaint job. You know,
Oh, you think someone could have literally wiped that foot right off?
I think yeah, I think that could have happened. I
Oh,
think that's
that's a
what
shame.
would have happened. Yeah, but you know, it is interesting to see some of these the two side by side, very different compositional choices, same basic subject.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what's interesting about looking at these classical paintings is how they use the same model over and over again. Like this dude and this dude, I think are the same dude. And this dude and this dude, I think are the same dude.
Mm. And you also see them in a lot of his paintings.
Yeah. What it's interesting pose here.
Yeah. I mean,
Just
he's definitely forcing the figure
forcing
and
big
head
time.
into a particular shape so that he can get that composition the way it is. I
Yeah.
think we have to give him some leeway
Oh yeah, he's
given
clearly
that the
doing it on
painting
purpose.
is out of is so out of sorts from what it originally would have been. Because I
Oh,
think he
such a
if
shame.
Caravaggio in all of his hijinks, he was a remarkable painter. I mean, he was
Oh
just an
yeah.
unbelievable painter. I have a really hard time with Caravaggio because I think that ultimately the especially in his violent images of like heads being chopped off,
Mm-hmm.
I find them to be self-defeating because they distract from the overall message with their extreme violence. And
Yeah.
I find that a lot with his works where I can't I have a hard time with Caravaggio, but I also have a hard time not admiring him.
Do you
This
think
next
he
artist I
was
know,
do you think he
go
was a
ahead.
conflicted artist? In other words, one that that was a believer but was just his personality was in conflict with his ideology, or was he just a complete
Man,
fraud and just painted what he was supposed to paint, what he was told to paint?
I think he truly believed because there was a one of the great paintings they ever did is the beheading of John the Baptist and solemn and he puts his own head as John the Baptist's head. And the story
Oof.
behind it is that he leaves Rome after killing somebody in a duel, and it was legal, arguably, because you can have duels and kill people, but he sought refuge with the Templars on Malta, I believe, and goes through a 1 year penitence period where he writes and talks quite a bit about how awful of a human he feels like he is, and
I wondered that.
he paints this painting that's kind of his penance is as it's interpreted of him as John the Baptist being beheaded. And he also has himself in another painting as Goliath being beheaded. So I think he I think he was conflicted because he's a young man and he finds a lot of success at a young age, but he's not terribly grounded in um stable family life.
Mm.
You know, I mean, stable family life is not the right way to put it. He's just not a stable individual. He's partying, he's drinking, he's gambling a lot, and he's a hothead. You know, maybe we would have thought him as being bipolar. And or being, you know, at the very least, just someone who has very low impulse control, right?
Yeah.
And he's he's also exceptionally gifted. How can somebody like that paint as well as he does? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I've often wondered that question because, you know, I'm going to get maybe a little too personal here, but whatever. I had a few years ago, I had a pretty major fight with one of my family members, and their response in a note to me was that I I was a hypocrite because I paint Christ and yet I could be so cruel.
Oh,
Yeah, and
that's hard.
no, and I thought a lot about that, but I paint Christ because that's what I want to be, not because that's what I am, right? I'm trying, right? So
Yeah.
I've often thought about Caravaggio, and he was such a flawed human being,
Yeah.
and I've often wondered if he lived this sort of tormented life, and
I think he did. I
yeah,
really think all evidence points to yes, and all evidence points to him actually being genuinely devoted, but at the same time being a little bit of a bad boy about it. I mean, you can't
it's
help
kind of in his
but
DNA a little bit.
I think it is. I think
Yeah.
it's like, you know, there's just a little bit of naughtiness in him that he couldn't
Couldn't
keep
shake.
out of even his sacred images.
You can't shake your DNA, man.
But you know what? That's also I think is we come from a Protestant background, a puritanical Protestant view as as Americans. We've inherited it culturally.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a Catholic approach to the relationship with God, which has a little bit of room for the jester, the sinner in the images as a contrast that we're not entirely used to. I mean, we'd never have a sexy Mary Magdalene in a Protestant church, but a Catholic church would. And that's something it's not natural to us, but if you're
Mm-hmm.
Catholic, it's more natural.
Hmm.
So I think he fits. That's another part of him that I think was not maybe so unusual, even though he took it to an extreme.
Right. Right. Yeah, we should do him at some point. Oh,
We will do him at one
yeah.
point. And this next artist you are not going to like, but I love him so much. And you are going to wonder, why does Micah like this guy so much? You will not
No,
believe
I
it.
do like this artist.
You like El Greco?
Yeah, I like El Greco. We've talked about El Greco.
So El Greco, for those who don't know El Greco was born on the island of Crete. And Crete is a Greek island with Greek Orthodox art. They did a lot of illuminated manuscript in very bright mineral colors. And he was trained originally as a kind of, think about illuminated manuscripts doing small scale paintings on those in gold leaf with very bright colors that are almost cartoonish. But then when Crete gets conquered by Venice, the Republic of Venice, he goes and studies with Titian. So he goes and studies in Venice after he's already been trained as this artist, and then that does illuminated manuscripts. And he then ends up going to Spain, and he tries to get hired at the same time that the royal court has been hiring Titian and Veronese and Rubens to do work, maybe a little before Rubens. He goes El Greco he goes to Spain to try and get hired by the court, but the court does not want anything to do with his weird imagery. They say, sorry, we don't have anything for you.
I mean, I could see
And
that, especially in his time.
Yeah, especially in his time. It was very unusual. And he gets hired by a group of nobles in Toledo, which is the old capital of Spain. And he lives in Spain. And that's where he gets the name El Greco, which is Spanish for the Greek. And he lives out his entire life, not working for the royal family, but doing major compositions and works for churches all throughout Spain, but mostly Toledo.
Wait, so
And
okay, I'm sorry. I'm hung up on the stupidest things, but that's what his name is, the Greek?
that's what they called El Greco.
So
Yeah,
he
that's not
doesn't,
his.
so that
No.
would be like calling me the Uton.
Yeah.
That's a trip.
Yeah. His real name is Dominikos Theotokopoulos.
I've
So we just
never
call him,
heard that.
they just called him El Greco or the Greek.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah. And you know what? This is not by any means his most, because he could do beautiful figure work and he could do remarkable portraiture that looks very naturalistic. Why I wanted to show this is that I think El Greco, okay, think about what we said about Caravaggio. This is
Yeah.
about, this is about the time of Caravaggio,
Yeah.
a little earlier. He's working maybe 15, 20 years earlier, but he's working under the same dynamics. So if he's in churches, that's where his work's being shown. It's being shown a lot by candlelight. And there's almost a theatricality to these images under the flickering lights of candlelight that we don't get today. And these exaggerated forms, this is what we call in art history, we call this Mannerist period. Even the Italians do it, where all the figures and gestures get exaggerated in ways that to us look cartoonish.
Looks
And in
like
his
the
time,
Norman Rockwell of the 17th century or something.
you know what? That's not actually a bad comparison. He had a huge
They're like
workshop. He had,
caricatures almost.
and they were meant to be dramatic and fun and bright and garish, and it's almost like the equivalent of looking at a homemade Christmas tree with lots of homemade ornaments on it and dried fruit versus one that is covered in ribbons and gold and glass blown instruments that's over the top, right? He is over the top, cartoonish, fun. And when you saw his work in a church that was full of gold and light, it would have just popped. And when you see them, if you ever go to Toledo, I think there's something like 15 churches that have altarpieces by El Greco. They are some of the most exceptionally matched works to their surroundings.
Do they have
when you see
security
them
in
in
these
person.
churches around these paintings?
Yeah, but not
Oh,
as
they
much as
do.
you would think.
Hmm.
Not as much as you'd think. Yeah, but we'll have to have a conversation at length one of these days about El Greco because I think there's a lot to say about him. But I do think that modernism has adopted him as a early modernist is the way that they think of him. But really, he's a Renaissance or high Renaissance painter. He would have seen himself closer to illuminated manuscript painters than he would have seen himself to Goya and Picasso. That's how he saw himself. Okay, I had to throw this one in here because it's just one of my favorites. Giovanni Battista Galli, called Il Baciccio.
Now, why do you like this one?
It's called Saint Joseph Embracing the Infant Child of Christ, which is a subject you never see. He's the only person I've ever really seen do this subject.
Yeah.
And so when he thought of a Christmas subject, I mean, look,
That's
this is
a
Italian.
great subject.
Isn't it a fantastic
Shout out to
subject?
dads.
And look, he's an old man again.
Stepdads.
And I love the kind
I know, why
of
is he
old
always
man.
an old man?
I think it works especially for this image because it's not his son in the traditional sense, right?
Right.
And if you zoom in on his face, it's just this level of just joy that he's been
Santa
able
Claus.
to capture. Yeah, I like that. And
Looks like Santa.
It's hard to do a happy face, as you know.
Yeah.
And look, this isn't, in my opinion, Baciccio is not a master artist, but it is, I think, a subject. When I was thinking about Christmas images, this is one of my favorite Christmas images that you just never see as a subject.
Yeah, his face is really great. That's a great
The rest of it
expression.
is kind of odd, right? It's kind of an odd painting.
Although, with the long history of really weird looking babies, I think he pulled this one off pretty well.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
It's not too
That's a
bad.
healthy baby with chubby legs. That is a healthy, chubby baby.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hopefully some of you artists that are looking at this, I went hard on Joseph this year, right? On Joseph as a subject, because I think that last year we did a lot of nativity and a lot of Mary scenes. And I thought, it's just, there are some out there of Joseph. He's usually in the background, but I wanted that Latour is, of all the Joseph images I showed, that Latour may be like my favorite Joseph image of all time, and one of my favorite Christmas images of all time, just the candle, the angel, and Joseph. But this one from a subject, my challenge is to artists, maybe for instead of like a 1,000 to 1 Mary to Joseph images, maybe it could be like 500 to 1. Maybe make one more Joseph image if you're going to do a Christmas image.
I like this a lot.
Have we got time for a few more images?
I've got as much
Jeff?
time as you do.
Okay. Well, we'll probably breeze through these a little bit, but I
Okay.
kind of want to go through them anyway. This artist is known mostly for his landscapes, and this is a Christmas landscape by David Caspar Friedrich, who does that famous painting of the man who's standing out on the outcropping over the mountain, looking at the sea of clouds. He's a German artist.
Huh.
There was recently a retrospective by him. And this is a pilgrim who's come across a tiny shrine by a grove of trees, of natural pines, and he's left behind his 2 crutches because he's been miraculously healed. So that's what's in the snow.
Beautiful concept.
So
Or he believes he'll be healed.
Or he
and he's
believes
still
he'll be
sitting
healed.
on
And
his rear end.
the cathedral is in the background, and instead of being healed in the cathedral, he's been healed in nature at the shrine by the tree where Christ is just he and Christ. Which is
that.
it's a beautiful little moment. And if you were looking at it, I remember the first time I saw this in person, I didn't know what the crutches were, and I didn't notice the pilgrim, and I didn't notice the crucifix. I just thought, oh, that's a really beautiful landscape with the cathedral in the background. I wonder what's going on there. But the more you look at it, you realize, oh, like there's, this is a narrative that's going on here. He's sought out this shrine on crutches out in the middle of the snow.
Such a great concept.
Cool painting, right?
Yeah. Is it thinly painted or?
Yes, it's very thinly painted.
That's
David
what I
Caspar
thought.
Friedrich did not do very thick paintings.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It looked almost like
laid
down like watercolor almost.
Yeah.
Look at that
I mean,
tree.
Isn't that
That's a
that tree's
beautiful
incredible,
tree.
isn't it? That is not a Bob Ross tree.
No,
by any means.
No way. That's
not that I'm
really
throwing
nice.
shade on. I guess I am throwing shade on Bob Ross. I love him as a person, but he was not a great tree painter.
Well, this is very carefully observed, not just done with a fan brush.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Don't you love the little snow on the Christ figure's head and cloth?
Without
Isn't it
that,
just
you'd never see it.
No. Beautiful little touches on that piece. Okay, the next image in our Christmas lineup is called The Magi Journeying by Tissot.
Yeah.
So, for those who don't know Tissot was this very successful figurative painter. He did a lot of society images, a lot of what we call dolce far niente, sweet nothing paintings. Had a mistress, was married, lived in London and was very successful, but then had a religious awakening as a middle-aged man where he stopped doing what he considered frivolous images and focused entirely on religious images. And one of the first series he did was two Prodigal Son series. And then he did maybe the most ambitious illustration of the Bible in the 19th century, maybe in history, or maybe since Albrecht Dürer did his 300 years before then. And these are all gouache, watercolor, and some of them are oil paintings. I think this is largely gouache and watercolor. And he traveled to the Middle East, tried to be as authentic as he possibly could to the landscape, the animals, and the costumes of what he observed at the time when he's painting these, which is the 1880s and 90s. And they're not big images. I mean, when he's painting them, I think the largest one is like an 8.5 by 11. And so I remember you once telling me, Jeff, that the amount of work that goes into a large painting versus a small multifigural painting isn't usually that great. And can you imagine I think he did like over 100 of these.
And, yeah, that's pretty remarkable.
and they're all small. And then they all get reproduced as lithographs. Some of them hand colored in some editions, but others just, a lithograph process. And
I have some of
this is an
those.
image. What's that?
I have some of those. Some of his book prints.
Oh yeah, they're beautiful, aren't
They
they?
really are. Yeah.
I mean, they're really just some of the most complicated multifigural biblical images that were ever done, I
Mhm.
think. And very successful images, I feel like, but not simple, and not a quick glance of an image, even though they were made small scale.
Yeah. So this is meant to be not a contemporary scene, though. He's only using contemporary clothing of the time because that's all he
Yeah.
knows. You know,
Yeah, there was this great I think it was Delacroix who went to Morocco, but it was repeated often in the 19th century, which is everybody come to the Near East or the Middle East because the Bible is still here. They haven't changed ever since the biblical times, which isn't true, but that's how they thought of it.
yeah,
And so they thought, oh, we'll go there and we'll paint exactly what people looked like in biblical times. And
yeah. Well, we still do
and
that. I was talking to Sean Lay on the phone, and he brought up Alma-Tadema, and he was saying that I remind him of Alma-Tadema because I'm building this boat, and at the time I was fixing a net, sort of reweaving it so that it's the right proportion for the scene. It's so tedious, dude. And he was telling me that Alma-Tadema was a stickler about getting everything accurate in his paintings to the time that he was painting. And I was saying to him, and I wonder if you could confirm this, but I remember a long time ago when I first started doing biblical paintings, doing some research on this. And my understanding is that we didn't know what the dress looked like, or there's no record except for a few Byzantine cave carvings or stone carvings of temple garments. Like there's only like 2 or 3 of them in existence, and they're very crude because they're carvings. Other than that, up until, and I think it was an English explorer in the early 1800s, brought his sketchbook into Jerusalem and sketched clothing of average people. But because of that no engraven image that the Jewish law took so seriously, they never recorded themselves. So we have no idea what they look like prior to the early 1800s. That's my understanding.
it's interesting.
Yeah.
I think that it's mixed, right? Because I think we knew the 19th century is always trying to be very historic, but it's always a changing goalpost because what they find is limited. And then they keep finding more and more and more as the 20th and 21st centuries go on. And they find out how wrong they were, and maybe in some areas where they were right. So I don't know specifically about, their clothing, but for instance, we know that in Jerusalem there was a very stark contrast between those who adopted Roman style of dress and looks.
Mm-hmm.
And we know a lot about how the Romans dressed and what they made their clothes out of versus what the Jews wore. And we
Mm-hmm.
probably know what they made it from. And we know that
We
we
know
probably know
we
what
know the dyes, we know that sort of
we
thing.
know the dyes, but but a
materials.
lot of it is just we're making circumstantial guesses based
Yeah.
on those. And there's a lot of evidence that there's this camp that because Christ was a Nazarene, that the Nazarenes were clean shaven. Apparently, we know this from some accounts, and so, but then other people say no, like it was much more like like the Pharisees adopted one style which was deliberately anti-Roman, and the Sadducees were clearly like married in with the Romans, and so they looked all clean shaven with Roman haircuts and Roman robes, but the Pharisees were deliberately not shaven. And I mean, it's like we can make inferences and so forth, but really knowing like how long was the garment, how was it wrapped around them,
Yeah, I don't
what are
think
the
we really
what
know. Yeah.
I don't think we really
Which makes my
know.
job kind of nice because I have a lot of room for artistic license.
Yeah, and I also think that if you do what Tissot did and you just commit to one era and stick with it, right? So
Yeah,
he
still
really
works.
committed to the period that he's working in. And I mean, these 19th century artists, one of the complaints about them is they don't look like old masters. They look like illustrators. This is very deliberately meant to be an illustration for the Bible. But it's this idea that Caravaggio has got much fewer figures. He's trying to do less in an image than a Tissot or an Alma-Tadema even is trying to do. But I mean, Caravaggio didn't master landscape like Tissot did.
I know. Has Caravaggio ever done a
Yes.
painting that didn't look like it was staged?
No, not that I know of. And who knows if it's, good or bad, but I mean, Tissot is working at a very high level. I mean, look at this is an incredible composition, composition that's going on. Okay, I've got. Let's go to the next image. I've got just a few more to show you. I think
Okay,
we'll
let's see.
probably skip around through a couple. This next one is one of my favorites.
All right, where is
It's
it?
the snow scene that right there.
Oh,
Yeah.
there it is.
Okay,
God,
so
that's pretty.
you know the painting of Ophelia drowning in the water by John Everett Millay. This is John Everett Millay who did that painting of Ophelia.
Really? I just
And
saw
he
that
called-
painting in person for the first time. It was so beautiful.
This painting is called Christmas Eve by him.
Wow.
And it's deceptively sparse and simple, but it's so beautifully thought out.
Is this a
Just those
small
little-
work or a large work?
It's big. It's 157 by 134 centimeters.
Okay.
So it's roughly like, what's 157 centimeters?
I think
mean,
is that
150 centimeters
40 inches or something?
in inches. 60 inches.
60 inches? My math is way
It's
off.
60 inches by 50 inches, roughly.
Okay.
So it's not a small piece.
So 4 by 5 feet? Yeah, that's not
Yeah.
small. It also looks like it's pretty thinly painted for a painting that size. Or maybe it's just because of the
And,
scale on the monitor.
He's not known for landscapes, but
Yeah.
he's got this for anybody who's grown up with in areas where it snows. There's this very romantic snow, and then there's early snow which barely covers the ground, and that's what this is. And then there's dirty snow, which you get in like February and March.
Yeah.
And you almost only see romantic piled up snow. You almost never see images where the dead earth, which has been cold for weeks, is sticking up through a very light layer of snow. And this is kind of a masterpiece of changing values. Look at how there's this rosy middle ground coming through that snow, and then there's then it gets kind of like a burnt umber in the middle, and there's just a lot of snow has lots of different shades and values and colors, and he's obviously painted it big to show a lot of these colors that he's seen in the changing snow.
Do you think this is pretty accurate? Because these pinks are remarkable.
This episode is brought to you in part by Rosemary Brushes. If you're one of my listeners who's a professional artist, you're already using Rosemary brushes. But for the rest of you, come on. Take your work a little more seriously. Stop buying the other brands. It's just not worth it. Every now and then you may get lucky and buy a good brush from another brand, but use the brand that professionals like myself are using. Go to rosemaryandco.com, link in the description or the show notes, and get yourself some quality brushes before your next painting.
I'm sure that he's messing around with it. It's kind of like we talked about with Leviton during our last time of, you get an idea of what looks natural, and then you go into the studio and you make it work with a composition where you draw the eye into the interior, right?
Right. Well,
He's
it
got
makes sense with that pink sky that he would want to mirror that.
Yeah.
Just gorgeous. Wow.
It's gorgeous, isn't it?
Mhm.
Okay. I think we should only look at 3 more images.
Okay.
I think we should only look at 3 more. And I think we should look at jump ahead to number let's see.
Not 24. 20.
Let's see, where is it? Yeah, go to 24.
Okay, because I really like that one.
So this is by
Wait,
an
is
artist
this one not?
who's been.
Oh, here it is. Here it is. Nope, that's not it.
It's not it. We'll do that one next
Where
year.
is 24?
Right, you almost used past it. It's 2 to the right of the one that you just clicked. Keep on going. Right there.
No, that's not 24. That's 25. But we'll do
Oh.
25. Okay.
No, let's do 24. Let's do 24. Let's do 24.
Yeah, but I don't see it. Wait, let's see. Hold on. It's this one right here. I don't see it.
You don't? Oh, we'll zoom in on it
All right, we'll zoom in
and
on
we'll
this.
compare it to another one. So this is Henry Ossawa Tanner. Henry Ossawa Tanner, who I'm sure you've heard of and seen his works before.
Mm-hmm.
He was a black artist from America who studies at the École des Beaux-Arts and passes as white for most of his studies and early career.
What does
Otherwise,
that
I don't
mean?
think
He was light
I mean,
skinned?
he was light skinned enough that he had convinced people that he was white, or
Huh.
else he wouldn't have been let into these schools because there was just huge discrimination against being black. And it wasn't just a class issue. It was people literally believed that if you were black, you didn't have the intellect or capability to paint.
Mm.
So there's just a real bias against being black. And so he's light skinned enough. He goes to the École des Beaux-Arts. He comes back and he paints some of the most striking images, biblical images ever done. This one is in, I believe, the National Gallery in Washington, D.C. It's depiction of the shepherds and the Annunciation of the shepherds. And he's I would almost think this was like an N.C. Wyeth kind of image, but he's painting maybe around the same time, but he's really not an illustrator. I mean, he's painting fine art and doing it in large scale. This is, I believe, kind of a study size image of a subject that he does 3 or 4 times. And notice how most of it is in the dark, which I think is a brilliant choice. And I
Mm-hmm.
also like that the idea that the light of the angel is bluish light that's coming off of these figures. Now go to image 20, the one before it on my list, which is the final image he ends up going with of the same subject, which is a monumental painting of the angels announcing to the shepherds.
That is
But
really modern looking.
it is
And he went to the
extremely
École des
modern looking.
Beaux-Arts?
And he did this in 1910.
Oh, that makes sense.
And
Okay.
and look, you've got an angel on the left that's being cut off almost, and then angels that are floating above this mountainous scene. And instead of there being huts or some kind of structure that the shepherds were in before, now they're just like on the top of a mountain or a hill on the
So
bottom
is this
right.
the final or a different one?
This is kind of like the one that he ends up working into a large scale
Oh, okay.
painting. The other one he didn't work. He never he did this a lot where he would experiment. A lot of artists do, right? He experimented with different compositions and did them in smaller scale. But then this one I believe is really big. I mean, this is about like 5 by 6 feet, I think, something like that.
It's funny, in both situations, there are no sheep.
Almost, yeah. That is
There's
interesting.
no
isn't it?
sheep here either. Yeah.
I mean,
Lazy shepherds.
this one, one of the things that fascinates me about Tanner is he could paint extremely realistically, and he was a fabulous figurative artist, but he abandons a lot of it to do these very experimental images with not only the figures, but the colors and the textures. It is extremely modern looking, isn't it?
Well, he was a contemporary Picasso, right? So
Earlier, I mean, he's probably 30 or 40 years earlier than Picasso.
when did he pass?
He would have passed. Let's see, when did Henry
And would they have known each other? They're both living in America.
I mean, I want you to pull up an
Huh.
image that you will know immediately. Type in, pull up your internet right now,
Okay.
and so everybody can see it.
All right. Well, let me type
And-
it first, and then I'll pull it up.
Yeah, and type in Henry Ossawa Tanner, Annunciation.
Wait, how do you
You will
spell
know this
that?
image.
Oh, no, I see the spelling right there. Okay.
This is an image you'll know.
Okay. Wait, stop. That's the same dude?
Same artist.
All right, I'll pull
Same
it up here in a
artist.
sec. Hold on. I'm trying to find a good one. There's a lot of them. Well, this might be the best I can do here.
Same artist. Same artist.
Really?
Yeah. And so when you look at what we consider to be this is much more of of what you would imagine coming from a classically trained artist working in the 1890s to 1920s. But that's him, same artist. Beautiful, beautiful painter. I mean, just could do really, really remarkable figurative work. And then chooses to do, and his colors are always fascinating choices.
How
I mean, look
about
at the
that?
temperature of that painting. Isn't
That's
that
really
fascinating?
warm. Yeah, that's interesting. That's a bold move to go from that to that.
Yeah. And he wouldn't, when you look at him, I don't feel like I see periods in his work. I just see where he'll make different choices. It's not like everything in this era looks just like this by him. It's not like he's got a blue period and then a red period and a cool period and a warm period. He just makes lots of fascinating.
But does he have a more traditional period and then a more abstract period?
Probably, I mean, maybe. I mean, he does go back and forth, but he does. His early pieces when he was a student, of course, in order to pass his courses, needed to be very traditional. He, who he's best friends with and classmates with is a Utah guy, JT Harwood.
Get out of town.
They're at the École des Beaux-Arts together, and they're roommates. But
You're kidding me.
No, but Henry Osawa Tanner becomes much more famous than JT Harwood, and his work is, and it's not just because this is one of these artists that you could say, oh well, it's because of because he's black and there were very few black artists, and so we adopted him as this artist.
Well, I think that'd be working against him, actually.
Yeah, we would adopt him in our period, and now he's more famous now than he was during his time. No, during his lifetime, he comes back from Europe and starts painting these beautiful, largely religious scenes. And I don't know if I think he did have a rocky reception of his art among certain crowds, but there were people during his lifetime. He was much more famous than JT Harwood, or a lot of his classmates were.
Well, is JT
because of the
Harwood even
quality.
known outside of the LDS faith?
Yeah. So JT
He
Harwood
is?
wouldn't really. I mean, he called himself in his own national and international. There was a who's of American art and a who's who of international art, and JT Harwood was included in it during much of his lifetime.
Oh,
And he called himself a Church of One. He never called himself Mormon. And
interesting. But didn't the LDS church send him there?
No, he goes there on his own. And
I thought he was one of those artists. Okay.
No, those artists went and based their he was kind of the mentor to those artists when they were there, and they based their expenses off what JT Harwood was spending there to be there. But JT Harwood was one of the few, he had a contract in Paris for galleries there and another one in New York. So he was one of the few artists from our region who was well known outside of the region.
I didn't know that.
During his lifetime, but he was not as well known as Henry Osawa Tanner. Tanner is doing these, just very experimental sometimes, but just very stark images that are religious images. I think his father was a preacher, and so he dedicated a lot of his life to interpreting religious imagery from the Bible. You should look him up. You would love to. We should talk about Henry Osawa Tanner, because he was an unbelievable artist.
Oh, Tanner's father was a preacher. I was mixed up.
That's right.
Okay, gotcha.
So let's go to the very last image. We'll save some of these images for another time. Very last image. And
You're gonna have to help me because I, like an idiot, shut down the screen again. Which one is it?
So go to it's the fourth one in from the right.
Okay, right.
There you are. That one right there. Okay. So here's why I'm choosing this one. Because this was very famous in its day. It was painted in 1912 by N.C. Wyeth, the father to Andrew Wyeth and the grandfather to Jamie Wyeth.
Really?
And he was a hero of Norman Rockwell. He was considered by many to be the father of American illustration. And this was painted for Scribner's, and it's big. And how do I know this? Because I now own this. This is the gallery.
Shut up. You do not.
No, it's one of the greatest pieces of American illustrative art, and it's and it was famous in its day, and it's one of the most reproduced Christmas images in America.
You own the
And
original?
I own the original. You should come to the gallery and see it. I've got
Oh
this right now.
man.
But I'll tell you one of the funny things about it is we got it, and zoom in on this. This isn't the greatest
This is
image.
great though. Look at the depth in it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to butter me up just because it's me. And look at how sparsely
No,
her
I
face
love
is
it.
painted versus what's in the middle ground and background. It's fascinating. But I took this to a restorer because when I got it, I said, it's so dirty. What is going on? Because if you look in these bright spots, you think, gosh, what is going on? Why is it so dirty? And she said, I don't know. I'll look into it. So we did some research, and it was actually Howard Lyon, our friend, who has taken a lot of high resolution images of a lot of NC Wyeths around the country, who found that this is consistent in all of NC Wyeth's pieces. They almost all in the light areas look dirty.
Is he
And
glazing?
as of he's glazing.
Yeah.
And you can't, and I don't know what the original effect would have looked like.
You
with
mean
these
without the
pieces,
glaze?
because it's so hard to get it out. It's like
Well, you don't
fused
want to
with
get
the
it
rest
out.
of the
That's not his
pigments.
intention, right?
No, but I kind of wonder. It is an interesting effect because when you get it, you think, oh, is that dirty? But it does add. You'll have
Yeah.
to come see it in person.
I
I
will
do
be.
think, however, that one of the things that's fascinating is he painted it as a big painting, oil on masonite, and it was reproduced as 8.5 by 11, and it was redone as a lithograph because they didn't have color painting. They didn't have color photography when he did this in 1912. So he painted it as an oil and then sent it to somebody who reproduced it as a lithograph
Hmm.
for him. So you're looking right now at the photograph of the painting. But if you look at the Scribner's magazine version of it, which I'm sorry I didn't include it doesn't include any of that glazing, and it looks much flatter as an image. So it's something that I'm just starting to think about. So I apologize to everybody. They don't have more of prepared remarks on this. But the idea of you're working at this time where you're doing color illustration, knowing that you're not usually the one turning it into the color illustration, and it turns out to be much flatter, and your original oil almost never gets seen as an original oil.
It'd be so frustrating.
It'd be really frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but it also is clearly, we looked at this, like NC Wyeth was, he was classically trained, and he's known mostly as an illustrator, and you think, okay, well, like he studies with Howard Pyle, and he's mostly making things for print, and he's a factory man. He's painting a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But here he's doing the same subject as Caravaggio 300 years later.
I love this one. I'm not just blowing smoke. I'd tell you if I didn't like it. I think the composition's brilliant because you don't even notice this stuff. I love paintings where you discover things as you look into them. This is just great, this background stuff.
You should come see it in person.
I
It
will.
really
I'll
is
be
a
there this
beautiful,
week
beautiful
sometime or
piece.
next week. I'm having Victoria Wyeth on. She's the granddaughter
Oh, are you?
of NC, or maybe great-granddaughter of NC Wyeth. Great.
Great granddaughter, probably the granddaughter of Andrew.
Yeah, and she's going to mostly focus on Andrew and Jamie.
Cool.
But that's going to be fun. That's sometime closer to Christmas. But I'm hoping to get Jamie on because he's only in his 70s, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he is.
That would be sick.
I think he is only in his 70s. I met him years back, and he's a fascinating. What a fascinating family legacy.
Yeah,
right?
seriously.
To have 3 generations of artists, maybe 4 now.
All very good and very successful.
Yeah.
Man, it's remarkable.
Well, Merry Christmas, Jeff.
You
Thanks
too,
for
man. Thanks for the Christmas card, by the way. The portrait is
You're
just
welcome.
magnificent.
It took me literally 30 seconds, so nobody judged
Well,
me.
you
But I
know,
don't
when you're a
if I s-
genius, you're a genius. What are you going to do?
If I spend another hour on it, I don't know if it'd get any better.
No, I don't think so. It's perfection.
Put that. You got to put it up one more time.
Okay. There it is.
So I literally took 30 seconds while Jeff took a break to do this.
It's so beautiful.
Thank you
I
very
mean,
much.
you nailed my eyes. My high
You know,
eyebrows,
I get
my tiny
asked
little
all
mouth.
the time to do portraits of people, and I turn them down because I want to be remembered for art history and not for my painting or drawing, you know?
I know. Yeah, it would be a shame if you became a famous artist and people forgot how brilliant you were as an intellectual. You know what I
I
mean? You
know.
just
I
tone it down,
know.
man. Tone it
I know,
down.
buddy. Thank you very much. I don't know, like my head in real life is so much bigger than yours, but in this one I made it look smaller.
But you
So
got the
I
shape
did a little.
exactly.
I did.
Oh my gosh. You made my head long and yours round. It's so perfect.
Well,
I love
I
it.
mean, I missed my calling, I guess.
You
I
did.
should. Merry Christmas,
Yeah,
buddy.
Merry Christmas to you, man. Thanks a ton.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to the Undraped Artist Podcast. If you enjoyed it, subscribe. And if you could, leave a comment or review. That really helps the channel. Please share the show with your friends, and if you're feeling generous, consider a monthly donation at theundrapedartist.com. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next week.